Good morning, everybody. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our annual Veterans Day program. It's very, very nice to be back in person. Thank you for coming out today, and thank you to our veterans. During today's program, we'll be blessed by music from our high school band and our choir, and then hear thoughts from Mr. Chip Guggemos. Before we begin our program, on behalf of the entire Howard Lake Waverly Winsted Public Schools and staff, and our stakeholders, I would like to say thank you to all that have served, are serving, and those that have already made the commitment to serve. And finally, thank you to the parents and community members that support our servicemen and women. Without your willingness to give the ultimate sacrifice, we would not enjoy the freedoms that we so easily take for granted. Veterans in attendance, if you can, could you please stand for a round of applause? Veterans, please stand. Thank you. At this time, would you please rise as the Howard Lake, Waverly, and Winsted American Legions, along with the Lake Mary VFW, present our colors. It will be followed by our national anthem and Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand, remove your hats, and stay standing through the national anthem and Pledge of Allegiance.
Left, 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 left.
And if you please join me by saying the Pledge of Allegiance. Remain standing, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which is stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, to get us started off, we have a special presentation of a patriotic-themed quilt from the Rockin' Bobbin Quilt Club. The Rockin' Bobbin Quilt Club is an organized group of local quilters. The group has assembled multiple quilts to be presented on Veterans Day. These quilts honor those that have served and took the time out of their lives for our freedom. Those honored are nominated through family or friends of their community. Please help me welcome the representatives of the Rockin' Bobbin Quilt Club.
Good morning. This morning, I would like to recognize David Reamer for his time of service in the U.S. Army from September 1968 to September of 1970. Dave is not with us today. He's not feeling well, but his family is going to accept the quilt. Please come forward.
It's a very, very beautiful quilt. It's amazing. At this time, I'd like to welcome the Howard Lake Waverly Winstead High School Band, Concert Band, under the direction of Miss Stephanie Daly. They will be sharing with you a piece by the name of American Flourish, arranged by Robert Sheldon. Thank you, Miss Daly and the concert band. We will now have a selection from our choir. Under the direction of Miss Alexandra Thrasher, our Howard Lake Waverly Winston Concert Choir will be singing American Hymn by Cecil Effinger. Concert choir, if you could please come down. Well done to our band and choir. Please give them, both of them, another round of applause. They're excellent. It is now time for our featured speaker today, Chip Guggemos, who is a native of Winstead and graduate of Holy Trinity. He was commissioned in the U.S. Army Infantry from the United States Military Academy at West Point in 1986. After completing basic infantry officer schooling, he was assigned to the 9th Infantry Division at Fort Lewis, Washington, where he held positions of increasing responsibility at the platoon, company, battalion, division, and post level. Upon completion of his 9 years on active duty, Mr. Guggemos returned home to Winstead, where he took over his father's financial advisory practice, which he continues to operate today with his wife, Julie. Mr. Guggemos believes in community service and is active in the American Legion, the Winstead Area Chamber of Commerce, is a West Point admissions representative, and teaches religious faith subjects for both sophomores and adults at the Winstead Holy Trinity Parish. Mr. Guggemos's military awards includes the Meritus Service Medal, the Basic Parachutist Badge, the Air Assault Badge, Expert Infantryman's Badge, and the coveted Ranger Tab. Together with his wife Julie, they have 5 children and 1 grandchild, whose daddy is a U.S. Air Force pilot. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Mr. Chip Guggemos.
Thank you, Mr. Mix. Good morning, honored guests, students, faculty, staff, and friends. Thank you for hosting the special program today honoring Veterans Day. I apologize for my hoarse voice. I lost it Saturday in Dallas, cheering on my Army team to an overtime victory against Air Force. None of you care about that, but it was a heck of a game. This is important, what you do here today. It is important as a community to host such public gestures of gratitude. I sincerely wish all veterans would come to this event to accept your gratitude and recognition. Many are, of course, at work. Some are ill or infirm. Others shun such displays because they feel unworthy of the treatment of heroes, for they know and fought alongside real heroes who did not come home and would never dare to share the spotlight intended for these. I think I can speak for my fellow veterans here when I say no one of us feel deserving of all this, but we all understand the importance, the necessity of such public displays of affection for the veteran. You see, we love veterans too. We are here to represent, and we sincerely thank you on behalf of all of our comrades in arms for the gesture. In my brief talk today, I hope to provide you a little perspective. First off, Veterans Day is not Memorial Day. Veterans Day is to honor and appreciate the men and women who have served our country in her military forces, not especially those who have died doing so. So this should not be a particularly somber or sad day. This is a day set aside to say thank you to our veterans, to let them know you really appreciate all they did or are still doing to preserve your freedom and so often the freedom of others. I hope in this talk to give you some perspective, to help you see yourself as not merely a spectator, but more a member of this team of veterans, as an important member of this team. We really shouldn't think in terms of veterans and everybody else. We are of you. We are from you. I want to encourage you to feel some sense of propriety some ownership, if you will, of your veterans. Here, allow me to demonstrate what I mean. I'm going to ask for some audience participation and your imagination. I invite you to travel back in time with me. Ready? Ready? Now consider this. Today is November 11th, 1941. We've traveled 80 years back in time to a very dangerous time. It is November 11th, 1941. The threat of global war has been growing for a decade. Japan has invaded and expanded its brutal occupation of China. Mussolini's armies have crushed Ethiopia, and Hitler has seized the Rhineland from France, annexed Austria, and swallowed up Czechoslovakia. It is November 1941. It has been 2 years since the Nazi blitzkrieg brought Poland to its knees. Denmark, Norway, and Holland were soon to follow. It's been more than a year since Hitler declared the war won with the fall of Paris. Imagine feeling tense, viewing newsreels, bringing reports and images from the war-torn countries to your local theater. Consider the anxious and worrisome looks on your parents' faces, left by radio reports issued from London during the Blitz. I can tell you what your parents are so worried about with their kids in high school. But I think it would be better to show you. Will all male students age 14 and older please stand? Now, I didn't say talk. Thank you. Keep standing. Keep standing. It's November 1941. Less than a month from now, a quiet Honolulu Sunday morning will be blown apart by Japanese dive bombers, and America will enter the war. If this really were November 1941, I could just about guarantee that with few exceptions, every one of you boys would be in uniform in the next 4 years, before the war's end. Remain standing. Now, if any of you are siblings of these boys, please stand. If any of you are cousins of these boys, please stand. If any of you are girlfriends of these boys, please stand. A lot of blushing going on. Lastly, for the rest of you, if any of you go to school with any of these boys, please stand. That's the rest of you. Look around. Look around. You know what you call that? It's called skin in the fight. Everyone, and I mean everyone, had some skin in the fight in World War II. Please be seated. Thank you. Now for the counterpoint. With those of you students who have a family member, cousin, or closer who has been in the armed services in the last 10 years, please stand. Thank you. Do you see the difference? You may be seated, thank you. My point in this exercise is to illustrate the chasm of difference in the level of personal sacrifice felt by this country during World War II and the nearly complete absence of personal sacrifice we feel today. This diminished sense of connection, personal and familial connection, with our men and women serving in the armed forces is not a good thing. We have not had to retool the entire economy to fight this ongoing war on terror. We know no rationing of gasoline, rubber, steel, nylon, and other commodities. There are no victory gardens planted or war bonds being sold. No military draft. Honestly, our day-to-day life is really not different at all. Not impacted at all. And yet we continue to fight longer than World War II. It is a dangerous thing to fight a war when the public does not share in the sacrifice. I'm going to say that again. It's a dangerous thing to fight a war when the public does not share in the sacrifice. When we make no sacrifice, we're not connected to the effort. We do not have anything personally committed. We have no skin in the fight. We are not really part of the team. So, when the team takes shots, when we have killed and wounded, we reel in pain and begin to question the worth of the effort. Worst of all, we begin to pity the poor soldiers. It's not the same today. We don't have that commitment as a vested team member would to see the job through to the end. We need to revive the World War II generation's set-jaw determination to see it through. We need to be tough as they were tough. We need to not pity our warriors, but pray for their rapid success so they can come home whole and safe, mission accomplished. They are American soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines, and have absolutely no use for our pity. What they need is support. Support not from a disengaged public, but from their family, their team members back home. So how can you do this? You're just a kid in high school. What can you do to express this support, to show you're part of the team? Well, thank a veteran. What your school is doing today is spot on. But you individually can do this too. Got a family member who served? Thank them. Today. Hug your veteran mom or dad. Call your veteran uncle or aunt and just say thanks for serving. If you see a hat with a ship's name embroidered on it in the Target parking lot, or maybe a hat that reads Vietnam Veteran in the grocery store, thank the person wearing it. You don't have to know them. If in a parking lot you pass a fella stepping out of the car with a Purple Heart license plate, thank him. If you see a woman wearing an American Legion or VFW jacket, thank her. Loads of you are on social media. Snap a recent graduate on your list of friends who is serving in his or her initial tour of duty. You don't have to be particularly close. Just reach out and say, hey, thanks. Happy Veterans Day. I hope all is well. Finally, the greatest respect we can pay our veterans is to live our lives as grateful and involved citizens of this blessed country. Okay, I'm done. You've been great. Thanks for your welcome. and participation. I hope this short talk might help you see the importance of your connectedness to our military, men and women. Don't be an observer. Begin seeing yourself in a new light as a member of our team, a teammate who should be more informed, more engaged, work to have some skin in the fight, some connection to the sacrifice. Happy Veterans Day.
Thank you, Mr. Guggemos. Spot on. Appreciate it. At this time, please welcome back the Howard Lake Waverly Winsted Concert Band as they give recognition to our veterans. Veterans, when your song is played and announced, please stand if you can. The Army. The Marines. The Coast Guard. The Air Force. And the Navy. Ladies and gentlemen, students and guests, mainly to our students, however, before we wrap up today's program, let me give you something to think about, and Mr. Guggemos said a lot of it. Students, while today may be a day of thanks for our veterans, I continue to challenge you to make everyone a day of thanks to our veterans. In the store, in the mall, the gas station, or anywhere on any day, tell them thank you. Shake their hand, give them a hug, and truly be thankful for what they did and what they have protected. Understand that they were and are willing to fight for our freedoms, as well as others throughout the world, and deserve our appreciation for that willingness and sacrifice. Regardless of the current political or world issues, we have our veterans to thank for what we have and will continue to have in the future, our freedoms. To the veterans, thank you for everything that you have done. and that you've given to our great nation. At this time, I ask that all people in attendance to stand. We will have a brief moment of silence to keep in the hearts and minds those that have served, will so serve, and those that have given the ultimate sacrifice to defend our freedom and our way of life. Everyone, please stand. Thank you. Again, veterans and those that have supported our veterans, we say thank you for what you've been willing to do for us. Ladies and gentlemen, one last time, please give our veterans a round of applause. Thank you for attending today's program. Veterans and your family, I hope you have a great day. Students and staff, you are dismissed. Please head to your third period classes.